The stock market is the loudest room in finance. The room next door is quieter, and it hears trouble first. Think about what each room is actually pricing. Buy a share and your upside is unlimited, so the stock market runs on stories about how good things might get. Lend to the same company by buying its bond, and the very best outcome is that you get your money back with interest. Nothing more. No dream, no upside, just repayment. Which is why bond investors obsess over a single question: will I be paid back? People with nothing extra to win are very hard to excite. That sobriety is the signal. This is Market Signals, the gauges professionals actually watch, explained so you can watch them too. Today, the credit market, and what the price of borrowed money knows before the stock market does. Here is the gauge itself. When a company borrows, it pays more than the government would. Of course it does. A company can fail. That extra interest is called the credit spread, and it is not set by any committee. It is a live price, moving all day, formed by thousands of lenders, each deciding what a company's promise is worth. Spreads narrow when lenders feel safe. They blow wide when lenders get scared. Which makes this gauge something rare and genuinely useful: fear with a number on it. Now watch the gauge in the era that made its reputation. Summer 2007. Spreads on America's riskiest corporate borrowers start creeping up, from under 2.5 percentage points to nearly 6 by Christmas. Meanwhile, the stock market does something extraordinary. That October, it sets an all-time high. The loud room was celebrating. The quiet room had already doubled the price of fear. Spreads kept climbing all through 2008, and in the December after Lehman failed, they touched nearly 22 percentage points, a level that priced in a wave of corporate death. The warning had run more than a year ahead of the bottom in stocks. Why does the quiet room keep winning this race? Because companies do not die of bad moods. They die when they cannot roll over their debts. Every company lives on a refinancing calendar. Old loans coming due, needing to be replaced by new ones. The bond market is where that next loan gets priced. So it feels lenders hesitating at the exact moment the hesitation starts. The stock market, meanwhile, is allowed to keep dreaming right up until the cash runs out. Credit is plumbing. Equity is weather. Watch the plumbing. And the gauge does not only work in slow motion. Mid-February 2020, spreads on risky borrowers sit near 3.5 percentage points. 5 weeks later, they have tripled to nearly 11 as the pandemic slams the world's cash registers shut. Stocks fell too, of course, but the credit move was the cleaner reading, one number that measured exactly how close the queue at the emergency loan window had come to panic. And when that number halved again by late summer, it called the recovery just as coldly. Now the honesty section, because no gauge is a prophet. 2011. Spreads spiked toward 9 points on Europe's debt crisis, and no American recession followed. Early 2016. They spiked again when oil collapsed and the energy borrowers who had gorged on cheap debt got repriced. Again, no recession. The lesson is not that the gauge lies. It is that the gauge measures stress in lending, and stress does not always spread. So read it the way professionals do: the level, the speed, and the company it keeps. One gauge alone is a headline. A board of them is a signal. So where does this gauge sit as I record in early August 2026? Remarkably calm. Spreads on risky American borrowers are close to their tightest levels in a generation. Lenders, right now, are charging almost nothing extra for fear. Our board reads 3 of 7 gauges lit. Elevated, but not alarmed, and credit's calm is part of the reason it is not higher. Hold both thoughts at once. Calm spreads genuinely mean no stress is visible in the plumbing today. And calm is also exactly what this gauge looked like in the summer of 2007. A quiet gauge is information. It is never immunity. That's market signals. Next episode, the plumbing under everything. How money actually moves between the Fed and the banks, and the gauge that shows when the pipes are running dry. Follow so you don't miss it. The live board with every gauge dated is at agenticsovereigncapital.com/bubblewatch. Education, not investment advice.